Morning. Oh, sorry.
Strangers, I'm Andy.
And I'm Mark.
Fucking it up again.
What do you mean? No, I didn't. It was you that forgot to press the button, you idiot.
No, but as soon as we start recording, you go.
Well, the only thing they missed is the only thing the listeners missed is Andy's recollection of his hot date that he had yesterday. So now we can make up anything we like. Oh dear.
Yes, I had a very pleasant afternoon in the company of a Serbian princess.
Very good, very nice. Is she actually royalty? Is there royal family in Serbia?
I don't know. There used to be, I think. As in most of Russian states.
Yep.
But,
I'm very pleased, Andy, that you were able to take advantage of the midsummer influence on young ladies. They tend to throw caution to the wind, and even you got a date.
Well, she turned up at work on Thursday with flowers in her hair.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if they celebrate midsummer.
She's very self-aware. I mean, she's got a wardrobe the size of Oprah Winfrey.
How would you know what size her wardrobe is, Andy?
She tells me all sorts of stuff at work.
It's not that you've seen it.
She's obsessed with clothes and things, so she always dresses up. And she actually sent me a message asking what the dress code was for yesterday. And
she thought it was a big party.
No, she knew it was just the two of us. But for a laugh, I said ball gown and slippers. And she said, perfect.
I'm surprised you didn't just say nothing, preferably.
She's got to be within your clutches before you can start that sort of talk.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Anyway, you were just about to relate the Midsummer Eve barbecue that you did actually end up going to.
That I didn't end up going to.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said you did.
No, I was going to go. So I texted Eric and said, send me over your address. I'll pop by for a couple of hours. And there was no response.
Oh, he was probably too busy drinking at that stage.
Well, it was also his work phone, and he might be one of those like me who turns it off at the weekend.
Oh, well, never mind. I had ex-wife, children, and family-in-law over, so there were 10 of us.
10? You said 20.
No, I didn't.
You did. When I said we could record on Friday because I'm off, you said, I've got 20 people coming.
I'll check the message. I'm sure I said 10. Anyway, that was quite good because they arrived at 12 and everybody, Johan's family had prepared some dishes. Suzanne and Mika had prepared some dishes. Izzy had done as well. So, it's nice when you do it like that because the workload is not particularly great. And it was a fantastic day down here.
Yeah.
We had, it was about 21 degrees and sunshine the whole day.
Yeah.
So we were sitting out on the terrace.
It's been really, really nice here. In fact, if this was my house, I would definitely have a boat. Because we've got the little jetty, we're on the river. It's just perfect.
It sounds a bit like Phil's place, actually. Do you remember Phil's place? He's literally just 10 meters from the water,
I've never
he's got a little jetty.
Never been to his place in the forest.
Oh, you've never been invited, really?
No.
Oh, that's a bit of a shame. I wonder why.
I don't know.
No, but that sounds very nice. Oh, anyway, so that was a bit of a boring Midsummer Eve. And what day was that? That was Friday.
It was Friday. No, but I was quite happy with that because, it's been quite a tough week. We've got people on vacation now and it's like, the pressure is unbelievable.
Well, it has been a tough week for your employer because they've had some pretty, mildly negative publicity relating to things.
A friend of mine at work actually died last week.
What?
The guy I bought my 3D printer off, Per
Yes.
Hawken, he died suddenly. But
nothing to do with work.
Well, obviously it's got to be investigated because we've had a couple of unexplained early demises at work. which have also been and are being investigated. One was a
What do you mean,
31-year-old guy.
literally
They just
keeled
went to
over
bed.
in the shop?
They just went to
Oh,
bed
no,
and
at
woke
home.
up dead. And
I didn't know that. Really?
Per Hawken was the latest one, but he was sort of 59 and he wasn't entirely in full health.
Yeah,
So,
but you're older than 59 and you're definitely not in full health. So
yeah, but I don't have any life-threatening conditions as far as I know. And I don't want to find out, because as soon as you do find out, they fucking kick in.
Exactly. It's too late.
How many people do you hear about who just went to the doctors, got told they've got cancer, and they're dead within a week? It's fucking
Luckily,
madness.
not many within a week, but you're right. It does. Yeah.
That's like
anyway, well, that's a bit of a sad state of affairs. I was actually thinking more of the order book.
The
order book, your company's order book, has suddenly been diminished by a substantial margin because one large German manufacturer has.
Yeah, but I knew about that months ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they only started talking about it in the media that I read 2 days ago.
Well, they've been trying to keep hold of them, obviously, but
yeah.
You know, if you can't deliver, you can't deliver.
Exactly. So, in fact, you've had 2 weeks holiday.
Yep.
And then, does the factory have an official shutdown at some stage in the future?
Not this year. We had a shutdown for maintenance and all the rest of it last year. But I don't think it's an annual thing.
So, in that case, the idea is that they're going to produce all through the summer holidays.
Well, I mean, we never shut. There's always someone working. It's 24/7.
Right.
365. Even at Christmas, there's always people working. Even if it's a skeleton crew, you can't turn everything off because it takes like a month to turn it all back on again. And
what does your princess do? Which department is she in?
She's in my department. I trained her, in fact.
Aha. Did you train her properly?
I took advantage of my position of authority.
Yes, exactly. Sure you did. Oh, dear. Oh, well, anyway, that was good. And then yesterday, coming back to me again, I spent time with my ex-girlfriend and family. So it was a weekend of exes for me.
Well, I'm out for lunch with Teresa on Friday, who's going to probably tell me off for two-timing her.
Well, I don't think she can complain, bearing in mind she's married with children.
She's not married with children.
But she's got a boyfriend, doesn't she?
Yes, but that's different. I told her we should see other people.
I bet. The idea you have of relationships, Andy, is quite... Anyway, I would concentrate on your Serbian princess. She sounds absolutely perfect for you. Not work complications.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want any of that nonsense.
Oh, all right.
What about you?
Bearing in mind, you always tell me.
Have you had any female interest?
You mean from the dating site? No. I mean,
you have to change your filters. You have to move the age range down to mid-20s or something.
Yeah, but
get yourself a sugar baby.
I don't know. I've got no ideas how the statistics work on these sort of things. But if I have 100 views in a given period, I have about 10 likes. No, 8 likes.
Look, you've got to change your profile picture, right? And I know that Izzy set it up for you, but Izzy is a young, innocent girl. And she's a nice girl.
What are you going to suggest?
What you need to do is get a photo of you leaning on your Range Rover with your Rolex out and change your age range to 20 to 35. You will get inundated.
You think that's the route for true love to true
it's
love? It's
nothing to do with true love, but you won't have a quiet night. You won't have a quiet night in anymore, that's for sure.
Well, actually, I've got to decide this week whether I roll over the membership or not. But I don't. It's just, it's. I told you that the pot, what do you call it? The potentials in my area
Yes,
are
but that's because
16 people.
of your filters. Change the filters.
Yeah, what do you mean? I'm already travelling 100 kilometres. How
Yes,
far
but
do you
it's your
have to go?
age range. Change it.
I honestly, Andy, I'm the complete opposite of you. The thought of having a young girlfriend is just absolutely of no interest to me. But when you said age appropriate, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Age appropriate. With grown up children, no aggravation. They're mature enough to know what's what. Anyway, so in answer to your question, no, but I do have to decide this week whether I roll over my membership or not. It's 50 quid
For a month?
for 3 months.
Oh, 3 months. That's not too bad.
Well, I think I've had enough.
Give it 3 months more, but change the age range, even if it's just 10 years.
Yeah, but by an
And I don't
amazing
mean go up to 70. I mean go down to fucking
Yeah,
40.
I would be more tempted to go up to 70, actually. No, I'll tell you why. I have a feeling that when you are on these sort of app things or what sites, you are far less flexible in terms of age. So, in other words, I mean, I'm not bragging or anything, but when I present to people in reality, a 55-year-old wouldn't go, "Oh, you must be joking if I'll go out with an old goober like you." But on the dating thing, all they see is your age. Okay, they see what I look like, but you could be.
But there's lots of girls out there with daddy issues just waiting.
Yes, exactly, sugar daddy issues. I don't want to know them. How would you translate? You know the Swedish expression "gammal gubbe"?
Old bastard. Really?
But I don't know. Yeah, it's something along
Just
those
old
lines, isn't
geezer.
it? You old bastard.
Old geezer.
Old geezer. Thank you. It's an old geezer set in his ways, sitting in front of the TV with his takeaway pizza in a vest.
But look, we're peak technology here, making
You're right.
podcasts, doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
This is how we roll. We ain't left behind.
Well, I was thinking, actually, funny enough, my sister recommended that I put a link to the podcast on my profile.
Yes.
And I said to them, absolutely no way, because then they get to see Andy as a friend of mine, and that would put them off.
Yeah, of course. Then they'd contact you and say, "Can you pass my details on to Andy?"
Over to Andy. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it wouldn't go well.
Anyway, it's as you know, well, I don't know what the opposite of desperate is. Apathetic. No, that sounds negative. I'm sort of happy to patiently hopeful.
You're not holding your breath.
I'm not holding my breath, exactly. So other than that, what is new in the world? Because it's been a couple of weeks. Are we allowed to tell the listeners how you managed to screw up monumentally with your major technical upgrade that failed to be an upgrade?
You can if you like, but I'd like you to first reflect on the fact that in 3 years I've had one technical issue, whereas you had one every week for the last 3 years.
Did you know, in fact, I realised, I think I've told you before, I don't have this whatever this is on Google Chrome. This is on... Yeah, and it seems to work okay.
No, my issue
and the picture
last
seems
week
better.
My issue last week was to do with the motherboard. I downloaded the firmware and software for the new motherboard, and there was about 20 fucking applications it needed to install, and one of them caused a conflict, which sent the computer into a loop of the blue screen of death.
Oh, really?
And the only way to do that was to quit. I mean, I had very little time to do it. I had to restart and go into safe mode and then roll the computer back 5 days so that all the last 5 days installations were negated, and then reinstall but skip that particular conflict program. It
But how
was.
did you identify that particular program being
Well,
the issue?
I had to sit here and install them one at a time until that issue turned up,
Oh, I
and then I had
see.
to roll it back again because I'd already killed the computer twice now.
So how long did that must have taken? Hours.
It did take a while, but it's fixed.
So now you just won't have to do that again.
No, I won't. No, it's done. It's finished.
Hmm.
All it means is that I won't update that particular part of the software. It's not really that important.
Because I told you I was quite impressed when I bought this laptop that I'm on now. The thing that always impressed me with the Apple products is that you get a new Apple product home and it says something like, do you have an Apple iPhone? And you say yes. And it said, well, just hold the iPhone close to this.
And we'll
And
set it up.
everything suddenly syncs and you've got all your apps and everything works. And I always thought Microsoft, is that what you, yeah, Microsoft were crap because you had to do everything again. But in fact, on this laptop, it said, do you want to just copy the profile from your previous laptop? And I press the button yes, and you get some mosaic activity on the screen, and suddenly it's all up and running. So I was quite impressed with that. But your computer is obviously so much more sophisticated. You actually have to do it yourself,
Yes.
which is the opposite of sophisticated, I suppose, in some ways.
Well, not really. Because when I rebuilt my computer, it didn't have an operating system to ask me any questions.
How can
I
you
had
have a
to-
computer without an operating system?
Well, I had to put one in.
Oh, I see. That's what you were doing. Yeah. So did you download something from Pirate Bay, or did you actually go out and buy something, or did you have one?
A little while ago, I purchased a copy of Windows 11 Pro
Okay.
to fix Marianne's computer
Yes.
with. And I did get it from a dodgy site. It cost £89.
£9. No, £7.
Yeah,
Oh.
but it works. And
All
it's activated and recognised by Microsoft.
All right.
Marianne's computer, which I fixed at Christmas, is still in my living room on the table waiting for collection.
Well, she's probably frightened to come to visit you, knowing you haven't had sex in 3 years. I'm surprised you get anybody. You should have a warning sign on the door.
Regardless. Yeah.
So literally, she's got a computer. Her computer is sitting in your sofa and has been for months.
Not on my sofa. It's on the table in the living room. But yeah, it's her son's gaming computer, which she
Oh, I see. Oh.
said she wanted fixed so she could sell. But yeah, it's been. I asked her last time I saw her in town a few weeks back. I said, "Look, can I just throw the fucking thing away?" No, don't worry. I'll be up. I'll be round. I'm coming to get it. I'm coming to get it. And then radio silence again.
Because you're only 10 minutes away from Marianne these days, aren't you? It's not as if she's got to drive 70k.
My place is so small, I am starting to think I'm just going to take it to the tip.
Oh.
It's taken up my whole fucking living room table. I can't sit there and eat.
Yeah.
Or do anything. It's just a fucking computer stand.
It's the summertime. Just leave it outside. Leave it outside the front door.
No one will steal it. We don't have gypsies here.
That's a bit racist, to put it mildly.
It's factist.
I don't think it is. And I don't think you're allowed to call them gypsies anymore, are you?
According to...
I don't know what the appropriate term is.
Thieving,
Travellers.
robbing bastards, I think is the appropriate term.
Travellers. Oh,
They
dear.
don't travel though, do they? They fucking park in your field, cause murder.
It would be pretty upsetting, I have to say, if they did park in your field. But I think normally they stay on common ground. Actually, here's the question: in Sweden, almost everywhere is common ground.
Yes. Well, you have
So
right
why
of
don't we have
passage.
travellers in Sweden?
You have right of way. I don't think it's actually common ground as such, but you are allowed to travel wherever you more or
Oh,
less
that's
like.
true. But we don't have
I
travellers
don't think
in
you're
Sweden,
allowed
do
to
we?
just. Yes.
I don't think we
have
do.
a different type of Roma. We have the ones that have those big black skirts for shoplifting. You know the ones?
Yes, I
wear
do.
a
You're right.
normal
That
top,
used
and
to
then
be
they
in
have the
Stockholm.
big the big bell
Skirts.
skirt that you can get a telly under. And they do.
I'll tell you what, I was talking to someone the other day talking about these gangs of shoplifters in London these days. Have you
They
seen them?
just steam in and just help themselves.
Yeah, literally, with balaclavas on, 5 of them, with dustbin bags in their hand as they walk through the door in, shovel shelf loads of stuff into the dustbin bags and just walk out again. What is happening in London? What's gone wrong?
Wild West. There is no...
There's
The police have literally decriminalised shoplifting. They won't even respond unless a crime is over 500 quid.
It's absolutely insane. You know, we are so lucky that we live in somewhere like London, Sweden. Sort of.
It feels that way at the moment with this weather, but winter
Absolutely.
is coming. The nights are getting longer.
They are. I'll tell you what, that is always a little bit depressing. We have passed the longest day.
Yeah, I know, and summer has only just started.
Yeah.
And it's called midsummer, and that in itself is depressing. Midsummer should happen around about the end of July.
Yeah. No, you're right. But having said that, at least we did have warm weather, because I remember, I think it was only 3 years ago, it was like 5 degrees and raining on midsummer.
Well, last year it was literally 2-3 weeks of nice weather in May, and then it just rained for the rest of the year here.
That's right. So fingers crossed. So you are going to work through the whole of the sort of normal summer months?
Yeah, I guess. And then I'll hopefully plan to have a little warm holiday in the winter.
Yeah, why don't you go and see your friends don't you have friends in Greece?
No, I have friends I do have friends in Greece, but I have friends in Spain that I want to go and visit.
All right. Hannah's somewhere warm, isn't she, or not? Or maybe maybe it was in the country.
She's in
She looked
Mora.
as if she was having a warm time.
No, she's in Sweden, but she's going to be up here in a couple of weeks. I think.
Really? She's coming to visit you?
18th of July, I think.
All right.
Because I was supposed to be going down to Borlänge, wasn't I, when I was on my vacay?
I know, and your cats
it was pointless.
caused a kibosh.
Yeah,
that's
and
why
also
Marianne. I was going to say that's why Marianne doesn't come and pick up the computer, because she doesn't want to get roped into looking after the cats. She imagines she's going to walk through the door and there'll be a note on the door saying, "Food for the cats in the cupboard. See you in 2 weeks' time."
Well, that wouldn't happen.
It's not a bad tactic, actually, because she wouldn't let them starve, would she?
Wouldn't
so
she?
Her conscience would force her to come over and feed the cats.
Maybe, unless she was actually on holiday herself.
Oh.
Which she does quite regularly.
You know, I've got house guests from Thursday onwards for a few weeks.
Who?
Alex and family.
Oh, right. Why are they... Oh, you're babysitting.
No. Well, no. I
They've
think
had enough.
little Leah.
That's it. We've had it for 3 months. It's time to move
We're
on.
off to Spain for a week. Oh, dear. No, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, Leo is such fun. And the older he gets, obviously, the more interactive he is.
Well, he's only like 5 days old or something, isn't he?
I have a feeling that Leo must be coming up for close to 5 months now.
Oh, so
he's much more reactive, much more attentive. You can take him out for walks while he's completely awake, just looking around. It's going to be good fun showing him off to all the neighbours.
Which segues nicely into today's topic.
Really? What is it? No, it's
really.
not a horrible story about infants.
No, but it is about ice cream. Which kids?
We have a story about ice cream.
Which kids like? So
everybody likes ice cream apart from me, because it does my arse in.
Well, I came across this story that reminded me of another story about ice cream. And it was I don't know if you remember the ice cream wars in Glasgow in the 70s.
No. Why would I? I was only a teenager.
And you weren't in Glasgow, of course.
And I wasn't in Glasgow. It was
You're
like
in
a foreign country to me when
you're
I
in
was.
Eton.
No, I might have been if I was 17. We used to go to a wine bar in Eton.
Ah, well, ice cream vans usually conjure up images of childhood joy and summer refreshments, with their chimes jingling jangling on the roof and the queue of eager children standing at the glass partition waiting for their 99 until they get to about 16, then they want a 69, which is like a 99 except you stick a flake up your ass. Anyway, this particular little episode happened between Mr. Yummy and Mr. Whippy. This isn't the Glasgow one. This is just a little story that happened. And this one
There
happened.
wasn't an ice cream van called Mr. Yummy, was there?
Of course there was. Don't forget, each ice cream van was individually owned, more or less. There were lots of independents. You did have
but Mr.
Mr.
Whippy was a
Softee.
franchise.
You did have Mr. Softee, and a few others. Mr. Whippy, possibly a franchise, I don't know. But in Blackburn, Mr. Yummy, Muhammad Mullah, had the window of his van smashed by his fierce rival, Mr. Whippy, Zahir Ramzan, in a stunning viral YouTube clip, which you can find on YouTube.
This must have been recently, though.
Oh, fairly recently. And this came down to a turf war. One of them was offering 4 2-scoop cones with a flake for £2.
50p a shot.
And the other one said he would do them for 10p cheaper. Passerby said, I couldn't believe it when Mr. Yummy jumped out of his van and smashed Mr. Whippy's window. You just don't expect that around here. Mr. Mullah, or Mr. Yummy, as he prefers to be known, said of the altercation, I've been having problems with this company for months. I've been established in Blackburn for 12 years and I'm really popular with my customers. Over the last few months, this Mr. Yummy chap has been following me around, chiming outside the allotted times and muscling in on my patch. I don't sell powdered ice cream. We sell nothing but dairy. I've complained to the council and the police, and hopefully now people will listen.
I mean, if it's your livelihood, it's like food trucks and things like that. If people start messing around with your livelihood, you're not going to take it lying down, are you?
I mean, we had it in London, especially in the West End in the summertime. There were fierce ice cream wars because where a 99 used to cost us like 18p or 20p, in the West End it was £1. So there was
a big margin.
There was big money to be made in the West End. So there was a bit of a turf war. And it was the same with the burger vans and the burger trucks. Do you remember the carts they used to push around? And they would park them outside nightclubs at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Or on the corner of German Street and Piccadilly or something.
And for £1 note, you'd get a burger and chips.
No. You're making up the story now. You get a burger. You wouldn't. No one had chips.
Did they not?
No, not in the wagons. They'd definitely have burgers with fried onions that were cooking
the fried
all day.
onions we remember. And they used to turn each other's wagons over and all sorts. There was often burger wars. Because again, big money.
I thought you were going to say it was sort of the Italian mafia who went up against the Russian mafia as a result of stepping on ice cream sales. Wasn't it? I think it was quite serious in Glasgow, wasn't it? It literally was criminal gangs that controlled the ice cream market or something.
Well,
not Mr. Yummy, I'm talking.
Well, the chimes of the ice cream van, and it's not like in Sweden where you have the Glasbil, which has the same fucking monotonous tune.
That's right, actually.
Oh my God, it drives me insane. We have the nice jingly jangly. Every ice cream van is recognizable by its individual chimes. But there is a darker, more sinister history associated with these brightly coloured vans. A turf war gone wild, mayhem and murder.
Murder, even.
Yep. The Glasgow ice cream wars shook the Scottish legal system for over 20 years.
Why?
And Glasgow in the early 80s was very different to the Glasgow of today. Rukazi, an estate built as part of a housing development boom in the 50s, which I'm guessing is part of the Goebbels, was already a neighbourhood of notoriety, an area of poverty, unemployment and decay. And the residents of Rukazi relied on the ice cream vans that visited them for more than just frozen treats, because they used to actually deliver groceries and everyday essentials as well. For those people
Did they?
who couldn't get to the shops, or the shops were too far, they don't have a car. So the ice cream vans would stop throughout the year, enabling residents who weren't able to travel to do their shopping.
Like the old milkman.
Yeah. And on top of the weekly shop or frozen treat, shoppers could also get their hands on much hotter commodities, including stolen goods and drugs.
Literally in the back of a bloody ice cream van.
It's the perfect cover. You can drive around delivering drugs all day long. And a nice pair of socks for the old man that just fell off the back of a lorry. So being an ice cream vendor in those days was quite lucrative, with the owners making as much as £200 a week profit from their rounds, which is about 650 quid today.
Yeah, that's not much, though. That couldn't have been much of a criminal enterprise. £200 a week? I wouldn't get out of bed for £200.
Bear in mind, yeah, you wouldn't. But bear in mind, in those days, your rent was probably about 15 quid a week.
I wonder what's 200 times by 50 is 10,000. Is what? Yeah, 10,000.
10 grand a year.
That's pretty much. I think my first salary, which was in the late 70s, was 13,000.
Yeah, but you were young.
So yeah, actually, no. I was working in a factory.
Yeah, for your father, who owned the factory. Fucking don't try and cover it up. We all know about your silver spoon stuck so far up your arse you can taste it. So anyway, the owners of the vans would become very territorial, stopping newcomers from poaching their patches through any means possible. And some vans were legitimate, but a lot of them were fronts for organised crime. And there was this one night in particular in 1984 where 18-year-old Andrew Fatboy Doyle, I don't know why
that anymore.
I don't know why he was called Fatboy.
He was very slim.
He was driving his normal route through the neighbourhood, and when he stopped at one of his normal spots, a car pulled up alongside him and opened fire.
With a gun?
Yes. Not a catapult. Now, Doyle escaped, but it wouldn't be long until this turf war escalated. A driver for the Marchetti firm, Doyle had ignored intimidation tactics that had been growing more and more violent. And sadly, the shooting wasn't the end of the rival firm's attempts to scare him out of the game. The intimidation of Fatboy culminated in April of '84 when a frightener intended to scare him out of the neighbourhood went wrong.
What did they do?
Well, thinking that the home had just Fatboy and his family inside, arsonists set the house on fire in the early hours of the morning. Unfortunately, the Doyle family had guests staying with them, doubling the expected occupancy. 6 members of the family were killed in the ensuing blaze, with the youngest amongst them being just 18 months old.
Oh my God! And this was the Manchetti family who was doing this? Or...
No, he worked for the Marchetti family.
Oh right, it was a rival who, as yet, has remained unnamed.
Yeah. Now the deaths caused public outrage, and the Strathclyde police were put under intense pressure to bring those responsible to justice. Now, the Serious Crime Squad were even nicknamed the Serious Chimes Squad due to the absurd nature of the case. Over the following months, Strathclyde police arrested several suspects, eventually charging 6 people with the murder of the Doyle family. 4 of the 6 men were sentenced, but there was a challenge to their conviction, with 2 of those sentenced launching a legal battle that lasted 20 years. Challenging the validity of the arrests and the confessions that the officers obtained, several appeals were launched. Suspicions were raised around the arrest of Thomas T.C. Campbell when the arresting officer's reports were reviewed, stating that the officer writing Campbell's confession was in fact driving at the time when Campbell confessed. The corroborating reports from the 3 other arresting officers all cited an identical 24-word phrase as the damning confession in their reports, which is a highly unlikely outcome, given that the officers were recalling the words from memory. So they all had it word for word.
So, well, I don't know if you're going to go through the case, but ultimately, am I allowed to ask ultimately what happened?
Well, we'll get there. During the appeal, evidence was given by a forensic psychologist to show that this was proof of a conspiracy on the part of the arresting officers, casting reasonable doubt on the convictions. Campbell called for a fresh investigation into the murders of the Doyle family, fingering another player in the organised crime of Glasgow for the murders. However, the time that had passed from the murders and Campbell's well-known feud with said man, along with the fact that many of the key officers and witnesses had since passed away, meant there was no hope for a new investigation as to the events of that night.
So you mean to say they never worked out who killed 7 people in an arson attack? Or they never successfully prosecuted, let's put it like that.
Well, the Crown's case against Campbell and Steele rested on 3 pieces of evidence. A witness, a guy called William Love, stated that he had overheard Campbell, Steele and others in a bar discussing how they would teach Fatboy Doyle a lesson by setting fire to his house, which is not the kind of conversation you would have in a public place where you can be overheard.
And I think, that isn't that literally what hearsay is?
Yeah, and like the statement that Campbell had allegedly said was recorded independently by 4 officers was basically, I only wanted the van windows shut up. The fire at Fatboy's was only meant to be a frightener, which went too far. And that's exactly what all 4 officers wrote in a hearsay statement, which is just unbelievable.
Beyond belief.
And the police stated that a photocopied A to Z street map of Glasgow, on which the Doyle house in Bank End Street was marked with an X, was found in Campbell's flat. I mean, come on. Come on, that is a fit up and a half. Who the
like a
fuck
bloody treasure map.
Right, let's mark the spot with an X. According to the Crown, Campbell was a man with a record of violence, already having served separate prison sentences in the 70s and 80s, who had entered the ice cream van business in 1983 and had been keen to protect his patch against the Marchetti firm. And Steele was Campbell's henchman, a sidekick recruited to help with dirty work. The defence rejected the Crown's evidence during the 27-day trial, and afterwards Campbell continued to assert that he'd been fitted up by both Love and the police, and he was. Campbell described Love during the trial as a desperado who had been willing to be a witness, pointing the finger at any one of us to avoid going to prison himself, and having been granted bail in exchange for testimony. Now, Campbell denied that he'd made any such statement to the police, as was claimed, about the frighteners, and claimed that when he'd been arrested and taken to Baird Street Police Station, a senior police officer told him, "This is where we do the fitting up." And I believe that. I actually believe that, because that is
No
how
cosser is going to say to someone in the reception, "This is where we do the fitting up."
Oh, they would in the 70s and 80s. Are you mad? They love all that. You're getting nicked, my son.
What was that good cop TV thing?
The Sweeney.
The Sweeney, thank you. You got that in one. Well done. With the slightly older bloke and the slightly younger bloke.
Yeah,
Who
Carter
died.
and...
Yeah. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Is that it? I think that was the theme tune to the Sweeney.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it was good.
you're right. It was pretty. That I'll tell you what. That period of 70s and 80s within the police force, there were so many dubious, bloody things going. Oh, and also afterwards, of
Well, the
course.
Sweeney was actually dismantled because of the corruption.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the flying squad was actually dismantled.
That was part of the Met Police, wasn't it? The Sweeney. No.
Yeah, they thought they were untouchable wankers. So apart from "This is where we do the fitting up," he said, "I'm going to nail you to the wall." He's just a whole mess of cliches, this guy, clearly.
And so, do you think he spoke with a Cockney accent, or?
Nah, he spoke with a Scottish one, baby.
I was going to say, why is this fellow talking with a Cockney accent? We're in Glasgow, aren't we? You idiot.
Yeah, but a lot of people in London speak with a Scottish accent, so I thought maybe some in Scotland would speak with an English accent. Maybe they've got the problem
is you didn't think.
Maybe they've got the London homeless. Got any spare change, mate? Any spare change? Oh, we're here with you.
Oh, dear. Anyway, it's a pretty bloody gruesome story. Sorry, Campbell, yep.
Campbell stated that at the time of the fire, he'd been at home with his wife, and Steele also had an alibi for the time of the fire. Now, a book was written about the whole thing by a chap called Douglas Skelton and a lady called Lisa Brownie, and it was called Frightener, about the conflicts and the trial. And they interviewed Love for the book, who stated and later signed affidavits attesting that he'd lied under oath. In Love's own words, "I did so because it suited my own selfish purposes. The explanation as to why I gave evidence is this. The police pressured me to give evidence against Campbell, who they clearly believed was guilty of arranging to set fire to Doyle's house." So as a result, both Campbell and Steele engaged in campaigns of protest to attempt to publicise their cases. And Steele actually escaped from prison several times to make high-profile public demonstrations, including a rooftop protest, and supergluing himself to the railings at Buck House.
So, sorry, the star witness in the book later admitted to having made it all up?
Yes.
Under police coercion?
Yes. You look shocked. It's like it happens all the time.
No, I'm sure it does, but well.
So while Steele was breaking out of prison and going walkabouts, Campbell, on the other hand, was protesting in Barlinnie prison by going on hunger strike, refusing to cut his hair, which upset a lot of people, and making a documentary. And after a lengthy legal argument, the Secretary of State for Scotland finally referred the case to the appeal court, granting Campbell and Steele interim freedom pending its outcome. However, the appeal failed when the three judges reached a split decision on whether the fresh evidence relating to Love's testimony and relating to a potentially exculpatory statement made to the police by Love's sister, which had not been disclosed to the defence at the trial, would have significantly affected the outcome of the original trial and thus should be heard. Lord Cullen and Lord Sutherland, talking of Lord Sutherland, Donald Sutherland died a couple of days ago.
Sadly, yes. I always enjoyed nearly everything he appeared in, Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, he was a very good actor.
88.
And 6'4". Quite a tall chap, yeah.
Indeed, a bit of a presence, physical presence when he walked in the room.
Anyway, Lord Cullen and Lord Sutherland both opined that the statement wouldn't change the initial outcome of the trial, with only Lord McCluskey dissenting. And so Campbell and Steele were returned to prison, and the legal fight continued. A further petition was presented to the Scottish Secretary asking for the case to be referred back to the Court of Appeal. Donald Dewar refused to refer the case because he did not believe that they presented grounds for referral of the case to the appeal court. Solicitors for Campbell and Still then took the case to the newly created Scottish Criminal Cases Review Commission, which took up the case. And the commission first requested and received material from the Crown Office. It then went on to obtain further Crown paperwork via a court case, including government correspondences. And the Crown fought against the release of this paperwork on the grounds that the Commission had not justified it. Gaining access to the paperwork and the papers were in the same category as paperwork that the Commission had already been denied access to by Scottish Executive's Justice Department. Lord Clark ruled in favour of the Commission, however, and they were given the paperwork stating that the Commission has a statutory obligation to carry out a full, independent and impartial investigation into alleged miscarriages of justice, and that the legislation...
Yeah, carry on, sorry.
And that the legislation under which it acts was clearly designed to give the widest powers to perform that duty.
But I can't understand it. Surely all court documents are open to public scrutiny, or not?
No. Some are held in, what do they call it? In
so national security measures or something, you mean?
No. In camera, where basically only the judge and the legal team are allowed to know what's in the documents.
Yeah, but that's during a case, isn't it? That's so that the jury don't get presented that information.
No, we don't hear about these inquiries that go on for things like Hillsborough and all the rest of it until fucking 20 years after the fact. We're not privy to the information that was around at the time because it's damning.
You might be right.
Anyway, 3 years later, the appeal was finally heard by the appeal court and it succeeded. So the convictions were quashed as a result of hearing new evidence and because of what they stated to be significant misdirection of the jury by the judge at the original trial. So after 20 years and all sorts of nonsense, the two people who were convicted of the crime were absolutely vindicated and no one has been brought to justice for the murders during the ice cream wars of Glasgow.
I mean...
so it's a bit of a tragic ending to a quite a jolly tale.
Well, it was a tragic start with the death of those 7 people of the family, but, it's just, I suppose, as you say, there are so many staggering, miscarriages of justice, that's exactly what it was, but fix-ups by the causers and by the authorities. In fact, it brings to mind that movie, that really good movie about some Irish terrorists.
In the Name of the Father.
In the Name of the Father, and that final sort of court scene where...
That was the Guildford Four, wasn't it?
Was it the Guildford Four?
I believe so.
And that was based on a true story.
Or it could have been the Birmingham Six. It was one of them.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Guildford Four because it was only one bloke.
No, there was a whole family.
Well,
they were trying to fit up his mother and his girlfriend and his dad because his dad went to prison too. Don't forget, and his dad died in prison.
But was that based on a true story?
Yes, absolutely.
You see, the thing is that that's why I think that. You always harp on about all politicians are liars and such like.
Which is true.
That not true, but I think when you are faced with what you can actually see that's open to the public about how people in the Tory party, for instance, have been acting with that 4.8 billion written off to the contracts to their friends and family, if that's going on openly, what the hell is going on in the background that you actually don't know about? It must be even more shocking.
Well, of course, you only ever get the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. So, oh.
Well, anyway,
So
that brings us.
these two people, did they get released after 20 years?
Yes, I mean they finally got out. I dare say there was a little bit of compensation. A Scottish £5 note passed their way. But yeah, I mean, it was just one of many miscarriages of justice. But the fact that it was all over an ice cream war made the story somewhat interesting.
Just as a footnote in terms of production, I don't like criminally sort of bloody stabby things. What do you call them? The murdery
bits.
I don't like that, but I actually, it sort of, I get a reaction from these miscarriages of justice sort of stories, I have to say.
Oh, so you want me to mix it up a bit?
No, I'm just saying I'm very happy to do those sort of things because you're not actually. The story is about the miscarriage of justice, not the initial crime, which was obviously in this case tragic. If 7 members of the same family met a fiery death, you don't get much worse than that. Anyway, yeah, so that was an interesting one. And yeah. I assume, in fact, do they still have ice cream vans in England?
Yes, I believe so.
They do they?
They're probably all owned by corporations now, like everything else.
Oh, you're probably right. Yeah. No, because we were so far out in the sticks, there was no chance a bloody ice cream van would drive past our house. It'd take half an hour to get there.
Oh, yeah, true enough. Especially if you've only got the one house in the village.
70.
Hey, could you all pass by the manor with an ice cream van about 6:30? Thank you.
I told you 70 houses, I think there were in the village. God. But it was pretty remote. Buckinghamshire. No, yes, it was Buckinghamshire.
There must have been some inbreeding going on around those parts.
I don't think so. We had communications. You had, donkey tracks and things like that. In fact, I'll have you know that I literally lived on what's called the Upper Icknield Way, which is one of the oldest roads in England. Way pre-Roman times, Stone Age.
Did they have roads in the Stone Age? They didn't have cars, unless it was the Flintstones.
Whenever trade started, the Upper Icknield Way was formed because it transverses east-west. That might be complete bollocks, but I'm pretty sure that was the story.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. I'm trying the hardest to end this, but you keep rattling on.
Well, you've got somewhere to go, have you?
Well, no, I'm just looking at the time. We've been going for 55 minutes nearly.
It's normally me.
It's about that time.
No, but hang on a second. Hang on, I've got stuff to say.
Oh, God.
No, but seriously, I think we need to prepare. I know we're not a political station, but I think we need to prepare. Do you realise in 2 weeks' time there's going to be a general election in the UK?
Yeah, who cares?
Frankly. I do.
Why?
I do.
We know what's going to happen.
No, because I think people who misbehave in public life need a telling off, and this is going to be, I hope, the biggest telling off in history.
Yeah, but unfortunately no one really suffers because they're still MPs. They still get paid.
No, but you've got to imagine that if the Conservative Party is effectively destroyed, the likes of Rees-Mogg and such like, they have to sit up and listen. They have to take some responsibility for their contribution to the downfall of a once proud political party.
I saw there are some people who have, for some reason, they're newspaper columnists, and I've seen some ridiculous stuff written about the Conservatives in the last couple of weeks. One was advocating for the return of Boris to save the day. I mean,
they're getting that desperate.
Are you fucking mad?
Never they are.
Who the hell believes that Boris could save the day after what he did to the country before?
So, just to illustrate how mad the whole situation has got, a couple of weeks ago, Rishi Sunak started talking about introducing national service. Now, the reason he did that was because the only people who are voting for the Conservatives, the 20% of the population who still want to vote Conservative, are probably over 85 years of age. And he literally says something like that because they're the group, they're the demographic who would support the idea of national service. He's so desperate to hold on to the 85-year-olds, he has to come up with national service policies.
Yeah, but by coming up with that, he's just alienated everyone under 40.
Yeah, but he didn't have. Yeah, but that's exactly the point. He doesn't have anybody under 40.
Yeah,
anybody with half a functioning brain.
He's never going to get them, is he? I mean, who, for one thing, for national service to work, the nation has to have a sense of national pride, and there is none in the UK.
Very interesting you say that, because I would totally agree. But their argument is, if you do national service, it will instill a sense of national pride.
It won't.
It's a stick or a kick. What is it, a carrot or a stick?
It won't at all, because the people who are called up for national service and to defend those shores are the very people who were born there and raised there, not the ones who go there from running away from their own fucking wars. So fuck you very much. I would fucking, if they came round my door knocking saying, here's your uniform, here's your gun, I'd say, right, has it got bullets? Bang, bang, bang. Now fuck off.
You are dreadful, Andy, honestly.
But it's true. The very people who would be eligible for this lovely national service are the people who shouldn't be eligible, who shouldn't have to do it. The people who fight for the country are the ones who desperately want it to remain free so they can live there. Instead of putting them up in hotels, put them in uniform. Let's see how that works out.
You're being blatantly racist.
No, it's just an idea.
It's not.
Don't send them to Rwanda.
Nonsense.
Send them to the boot camp.
So you're saying in the Second World War it was only white middle class people that joined the army?
No, it was white middle class people who directed the working classes towards the enemy artillery.
I don't think there was any filters as far as background or colour.
Run very quickly towards that German machine gun, would you? There's a good lad, till they run out of bullets. Then I can wander over and have a cup of tea with the Messerschmitt commander.
I still can't work out, is there national service in Sweden? I think there is.
There was, and it was compulsory until fairly recently, but they couldn't afford to keep it up because they never. I mean, Sweden's always neutral; they don't need an army.
What you're talking about is actually not neutral anymore. It's part of NATO. They gave up their neutrality.
Yeah, but that's why they're bringing the national service back. But I believe you can get out of it if you really want to.
Do you know how many members of the British Army exist today?
What do you mean members?
What is the British Army? How many people are there in the British Army?
It's ridiculously small. It's about 12,000 or something.
Well, it's not 12, but it's 70,000. You could fit the British Army
Wembley.
in Wembley. I was just about to say Wembley Stadium.
That's rubbish. Talking of
Did
Wembley
you enjoy?
Stadium,
Yes.
England have been knocked out of the Euros, I believe.
Have they?
I think so. But they failed to qualify
I don't follow football.
for the knockouts. No, I don't. But I think I saw something because the newspaper headlines are no longer "It's coming home." Thank God.
It's gone.
We've actually been taught a proper lesson. Because as usual, everyone's going, "Oh, yeah, we can do it this time." No, we can't. We never can. We never did. We never will.
Sorry, how do you check that? Google. What do you say? Are England out? That's probably enough, isn't it?
Are England out of the Euros?
Oh, for God's sake. They can't be. Not this early on.
Knockout stages. They got taught a valuable lesson in football by just about everybody they played.
Are England out of the Euros? No. They're about to really feel the pressure.
Really? Oh. What do you have to do to get kicked out? Anyway, I need to wrap this up. Thanks for listening, everybody.
What? Oh, we were
Hope
having a
you
nice
enjoyed the
chat.
tale. Yes, but we can do that without everybody else having to suffer it.
That's true.
Hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget, we'll be back same time, same place next week. You can catch us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook page. You can join our Patreon and get more of the stuff that you heard last week. And, you know, all that stuff, all the good stuff. Anyway, have yourselves a strange week. And if you are going to go to an ice cream van, don't buy drugs, buy an ice cream.
Good advice.
Freeze frame.